Ladies and gentlemen, this is Duane Fletcher with Fletcher Community Media. I said I was going to start doing more podcasts because I want to try and turn this into like a business instead of doing these podcasts as a hobby. And basically, I got new books out. Let's see, The Nibble Next talks about these two Russian hitmen that came to town. This is a pretty good one also right here. Let's see, here we go. The Battle of Fletcher. The Battle of Fletcher. This one talks about Napoleon's campaign against Russia 200 years ago in correlation to the war in the Baltic states that's going on right now with Russia versus Ukraine. This is also a pretty good book also. Check it out. And check out this one too. The Black Hand. The Black Hand is a pretty good one also. Some people said when I was first talking to people about the material that I was researching, some people said it was boring because it was about sports and politics and things like that. And in relation to the subject matter being so severe, what it is, basically the Black Hand is the people that started World War I. And the book talks about how they're basically still alive and still thriving and things like that. So this is also a pretty good book. And everything in this book came true also, as a matter of fact, I want to say, because when I was researching this, we talked about the bracket system and things like that has to do with the tennis players. And basically, they let this person, this is a fiction action novel, but the villain character is based on a real life person, and basically this person was allowed back into the country even though he was unvaccinated, and he played at the New York Open and everybody got sick. Everybody got sick. The tennis players got sick. A bunch of the reporters got sick. Like I said, and the thing is that I was discriminated against, and some people want to say, how did that happen? It's because they discriminated against me, and was like, it looked to me like they ran off to save this guy and like his little gambling operation or something, instead of paying attention to the material. So hopefully you won't listen to the governor of Florida ever again, because everybody got sick at the tennis match when they let the guy back in, and that happened in real life. It's not fiction. So, but this is a fiction action. It's pretty good stuff. Check it out. The Black Hand by Duane Fletcher. Everything's on blurb.com. BLURB blurb.com. Okay, so reason why I started filming so many new podcasts, because like I said, it's a bunch of stuff that I've written that has come true. Bunch of stuff that I've written. All of this stuff is on blurb.com, BLURB blurb.com, under author name Duane Fletcher. But a bunch of stuff that I've written is starting to come true. So the most recent one is this one, Black Hand. Just happened, New York Open 2023, back in August and September of this year. So basically, what I want to talk about today has to do with some new material that's coming out. Excuse me. But there's recently been a lot of people saying that they were going to start trying to buff up their own military instead of sending guns to Ukraine. People like Poland. Okay, Poland, the Polish government says that they want to try to start to buff up their own military instead of sending weapons to Ukraine to help them fight Russia and stuff like that. And so basically, it's like a barometer that is some certain different people that have been donating a lot of weapons, like Germany, Poland, probably Great Britain, the United States. The surplus is starting to dwindle. The surplus is starting to dwindle, and some of them are thinking of trying to refurbish their own stockpiles instead of sending stuff to Ukraine. And I'm bringing this up because I take this stuff very seriously. This is not a joke to me. I've been interested in military stuff ever since I was a child. Used to play with Army men. Used to play, growing up, played all the video games, Ghost Recon, the Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher. That's one of my favorite game characters. But just growing up, I've always been interested in strategy games also. And I take the research that I do, because I do a lot of real research. That's what's in the books. That's research that I've done from world events, local events, and current events from my own life and experiences and stuff like that. That's what's in the books. But I came across something that I want to talk about now, not just wait till put it in the book, because somebody made the comment once that, hey, we don't have time. We don't have time for you to write a book. We need this information now. And the thing is that, I'm not at fault, because some of those same people was the people that basically flipped this information around, and they ended up having to run off to go save Israel instead of putting pressure on Russia to run off and go save Serbia. So I'm not at fault, because I do podcasts. That's what this is right here. See this right here? This is called the podcast. Okay. And hopefully, we can get past that part. That's now that said, I don't want to hear your mouth anymore, because that's what you did. I feel like somebody went through my information and flipped it around, basically, and that's who it was. Oh my God, we needed that information yesterday, because I just got through working for a defense contractor, and that's what kind of attitude they had. We needed that information yesterday, but it looks like that's what they did. Then because that's who basically stood up and said something about letting the guy in, was the governor of Florida. Like, he's big time ex-Navy guy, and that's who I used to work for, was a Navy contractor. And he's like, let's smuggle a guy in from the Caribbean and all this kind of stuff like that. So, but I'm going to talk about this now. So, everybody's talking about buffing up their own military. So let's look at this. This is called the Sten. See that right there? That bad boy right there is called the Sten. Now, basically, let's get some other pictures of it. The British military at Dunkirk in North Africa. The British military was in North Africa. They got beat really, really badly by the Germans. They got beat really, really badly by the Germans. They had to bug out, and they had to leave a shit ton of their supplies and munitions behind when they bugged out. And basically the British government was completely out of, machine guns, rifles, et cetera, stuff. So they came up with this idea right here. They were completely out of everything. So they came up with this idea right here. This is called the Sten. And the joke was that this thing right here, it costs like $11 to produce. It costs $11. Very, very extremely. It's basically a pipe and a spring. That's the joke that the British military used to tell about this thing. But they said it was basically just a pipe and a spring. A pipe and a spring, and that's what they were saying, basically like a zip gun or something, like what you would call in the street a zip gun or something like that. But through their genius, military genius, basically the British military came up with this simple idea that to mass produce this machine gun, and because they were completely out of rifles and machine guns and stuff like that, they were saying that the American Thompson. The trench broom was too expensive for them to equip their soldiers with and stuff like that. So they came up with the idea for this right here. So that might be what some people might think. We got some British military contractors here. Maybe some of them are listening in and can get back into this mentality right here that, hey, this is what we might need to do to save the free world from communism and so on and so forth and things like that. And but this thing, it's a very simple design, and it was worked very effectively against the Germans, against the Nazis, and that's probably what's going to happen. They probably need, I could see them doing this right now. Maybe up the caliber to like from a 380 or a 9mm to like a NATO round. Yeah, like up the caliber to like a 5.62 or something like that. They just up the caliber to something new, and that's basically all they will have to do, and they will have and be able to mass produce this again for you never know, maybe around $11 a unit, and then we will basically be saved from the whole small arms argument will be over with, because that thing right there repelled the Germans back the rest of the way in Europe during World War II. But that being said, who knows? There's a lot of people probably not start thinking that way. If we're facing dwindling supply of munitions, we need to start thinking this way, the way that they thought during World War II, so that we can get something mass produced rapidly. Get something mass produced rapidly, and that will basically end the whole small arms argument right there. So, but that's what I want to talk about first, the Sten machine gun. Since there's so many people talking about they're running out of different things like that, but that's probably what they need to do. Just up the caliber to like a NATO round, and mass produce it, and then when they can circulate it to Ukraine and Poland and France and Great Britain and maybe even Spain, just the different people, Turkey, Romania, the different people that can basically are in this argument. Basically the NATO countries that are in this argument with Russia and stuff like that, about him encroaching on all of this democratic lands and stuff like that that's over in Europe. So, but I started thinking about that when I was watching one of these podcasts. I was watching Ben Hodges. Ben Hodges is like one of the best. There is a ton of American generals, ex-American generals, retired American generals that are commentating on this war. This is not just myself. One of my earlier podcasts, I talked about another guy like myself who was a supply clerk at the motor pool in Texas, at an Army-based motor pool in Texas, and he was talking about how raggedy the Russian troop carriers and the Russian tanks were and stuff like that. But basically that's like what I was, like a supply clerk, what they call a material handler, and but I worked on fighter jets, not tanks, and it's a lot of people that come up with different information, but one of the best persons that I've ever seen do one of these podcasts has to be Army General Ben Hodges, who he does a lot of podcasts, he does a lot of filming in Europe and stuff like that, and but he talks about all kind of stuff. And when they were talking about running out of ammunition and stuff like that, I was thinking about, when I first looked it up, I saw the story about Dunkirk and things like that. I saw the story about Dunkirk, and that's what sparked my interest in it. And I was thinking, maybe they could do something, like that right now, because like I said, we have other military contractors here in Jacksonville. Matter of fact, I think we have BAE, we got GE, we got Boeing. There's a bunch of different military. There's AAR, who I used to work for, but there's a bunch of military contractors here in Jacksonville. So hopefully, one of them is listening, and they could maybe get something like that done. But they need to start thinking about making a stand. If they're running out of guns, they need to make a stand. But and because what I want to also talk about is this has to do with this stuff that's going on with China. Okay, the Chinese are the new president of the United Nations Security Council. We talked about that the other day, and how Israel, it appears that Israel may or may not have killed one of the Chinese ambassadors before. So this situation, once he starts talking about them and stuff, it could wind up something like that. So, because I know the Chinese government is not forgotten that, because that was really weird that this guy was talking about something and then he mysteriously had this heart attack and died and stuff like that. But what I wanted to say was that basically the the issue that had to do with the stuff that I was covering that had to do with Serbia. Okay, China may have back in the day, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, during all the stuff that happened with the Australian Open. Okay, there was some people that had to do with the tennis tournament that were arguing back and forth about letting this guy in to play tennis, and Russia went and dropped off guns and munitions in Serbia, and all this is in the book. It's all in the book. Bunch of news stories that I sewed together. Bunch of news stories that I put together, and but it's all in the book. But not only did Russia drop off guns during that time, but it appears that a couple of months later, China also dropped off something also in Serbia, which appears to be like some mobile SAM sites. And back then, everybody was talking about this. Everyone was talking about this new supersonic missile that China has. Everyone was talking about this new supersonic missile that China has, and basically, to me, it appeared that they created this missile just for this particular person that they was arguing with, because they were arguing with GE. They were arguing with GE. That's why I worked for one of the subcontractors. There was several Chinese spies caught working inside of GE. They actually probably should have lost their military contracts when they got caught. They caught one Chinese spy, then they caught another Chinese spy, then they caught another Chinese spy, and they probably should have lost their military contracts, but through something happened that they didn't lose their military contracts. But right after this, that's when they started talking about this new supersonic SAM site missile that China has been mass producing. And apparently the Chinese thought the same thing too, that they was going to end up fighting in Serbia. It looks like the Chinese dropped off a batch of them in Serbia, hoping that if America had to fight Serbia again, or the NATO forces had to fight Serbia again, they were going to let the Serbians use that missile. Now the thing is that right now, as it is right now, the strategy was basically a double-edged sword then, and I still feel as though it's a double-edged sword now, because what I believe that should have happened was that if they were going to have to end up fighting some new type of missile, a new supersonic missile, they should have felt them out over Serbia. The Navy, our Navy, the NATO forces, they should have felt them out over Serbia, because the Serbians would have only had a limited supply of such missiles. They only would have had a limited supply of such missiles, and places like Northern Macedonia, Bulgaria, Romania, they would have denied the Russians airspace, and they would have denied China airspace to come and rearm the Serbians over and over again. Okay, that's the beauty of the situation, that they just let slip through their fingers, and now they had to go run and save Israel, instead of putting pressure on the Russians to have to try and save Serbia. So that's what my what my opinion is. That's just me. That's my opinion, that if they were going to have to face this new supersonic missile, that they should have faced it over Serbia, and they could have felt it out and learned its capabilities, maybe even captured. They might have even been able to capture one of the supersonic missile batteries from the Serbians, so that they could look at it and get a good look at it and reverse technologicalize it, and for our own use. Because, as you know, there's been a big issue. There's been a big issue about this in Congress recently, over the last year or so, where one of the senators, I think it was Matt Gaetz, And let me look that up right quick. Matt Gaetz and let's see. Matt Gaetz on supersonic missiles. Congress. Let's see. But these two right here had it out. These two guys right here, Lloyd Austin and Matt Gaetz, they had it out in Congress talking about the Chinese having supersonic missiles before us. Now, the thing is that, and I'm going to say this because I don't care who, at this point, after being discriminated against and then them flipping it around, oh my God, they're discriminating against the tennis player. Oh God, we have to go save that tennis player. Somebody discriminated. After being discriminated against, I'm going to say this and just let the chips fall where they may. Okay. For your information, Mr. Gaetz. For your information, Mr. Gaetz, America has plenty of supersonic technology. Okay? Developed by NASA in Florida. That's where I'm at right here in Florida. Now, matter of fact, one of my uncles was an engineer at NASA. But I can tell you basically what goes on. And after experiencing it myself, this may or may not be what happened. Okay? America has plenty of supersonic technology. As a matter of fact, what the Chinese are working with is probably some American technology that they've stolen or spirited away in some way, shape, or form. And what might have happened is that, let's say, a black person invented this supersonic missile, and then one of the engineers went, pfft, that's escape velocity. Nobody can fly that fast. We can't use that, and they put it on the shelf, or they put the idea on the shelf, or they threw the idea in the garbage, and then one of the Chinese scientists comes along and says, "Well, shit, I don't have to fly the damn thing at 3,600 miles an hour, but I can strap a bomb to it." And that's how the Chinese may or may not have come out with this technology first, because, like I said, this stuff is stuff that America had first. And and I don't know if y'all know it or not, but black people that work for NASA invent a lot of different things. You would be surprised. Let me show you this. Watch this. Super Soaker invented by black man at NASA. This guy right here. Hey, and if y'all ever played with this, anybody ever played with this water gun? It's called a Super Soaker. A black scientist that worked for NASA invented it. Yeah, a black scientist that worked for NASA invented the Super Soaker. Where basically, and like I said, I found myself in this same situation where I was trying to talk to the people where I worked. And they had their own idea of things, and it looked to me like they're trying to hide behind racism, and I felt like I should copyright and or patent some of the ideas that I had. I should patent or copyright my own ideas, because they're going to throw it in the garbage or put it in the shelf because they didn't think it up first. In this case, though, it looks like they ran off to save the tennis player and threw my book in the garbage. And everybody got sick, even though I told them that's what was going on. Okay? So, let's look up this other one. 3D movies invented by NASA scientists.
Aliens of the Deep is a 2005
That's
movie
not what I said. 3D movies invented by black woman at NASA.
According to Because of Them We Can, meet Valerie Thomas, the NASA scientist who made 3D movies possible, the Black Wall Street Times reports. Valerie Laverne Thomas is a native of Baltimore, Maryland, who discovered her passion for technology early.
Now, I'm going to tell you what goes on in some of these places, because I feel as though I just experienced it myself. I during the course of us talking back and forth, we came to agree to disagree. Where basically, I didn't even want to work for their side of the warehouse. I wanted to work for the other side of the warehouse where the Raytheon guys were, because I feel as though the caliber of my conversation would have been taken more seriously and not scoffed at. And basically, that's what happened. They took the information, they threw my book in the garbage and discriminated against me, and then they ran off to save the tennis player. And that's who it was. It was the goddamn governor of Florida, who's a big time ex-Navy guy, and there's no two ways about it. And that's what happened. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what happened. And then now they got to go save Israel instead of going to put pressure on Russia to go save Serbia. And that was the end result. So, but it's a lot. Black people invent a lot of things at NASA, and that's what it looks like. What may or may not happen. There might have been a black guy that invented this rocket that goes, let's say, 4,000 miles an hour, which is an escape velocity for you to be able to leave the Earth and fly out into the stratosphere. Okay, but somebody said, hey, well, a human being can't fly that fast. So they put it on the shelf. Or either they threw it in the garbage because they didn't think it up themselves. And then one of the Chinese scientists or one of the Asian guys, because the spies that they have, they're all ex-military from China before they get to America anyway. But he was already in that mentality. Well, hell, I don't have to fly it. Because you know, there was an issue with them, you know, blacking out and stuff like that when they started testing to pull G's and stuff like that. Now, what it looks like what he said was, hey, I don't have to fly this thing, but what I could do is I could strap a bomb to it, and then that becomes the new supersonic missile technology. And America has plenty of supersonic technology. It's just that they haven't been utilizing it because it has a different application that has to do with the space program now. But however, now that we have such a thing as Space Force, we have Space Force now. Okay, maybe our military guys can start to cross-reference some of these cross-reference some of these things instead of shelving them and things like that. So, you know, because I was put in a position where I had thought up some inventions that had to do with new things. I'm not going to say what it was because I feel as though some of it is none of your business. I'm gonna keep that to myself. But I wanted to. I thought that I should put make my own patents, because they're not going to do anything with it. They're going to throw this in the garbage because I'm black, or they're going to put it on the shelf and make jokes about it in my face all day because I'm black. So I started thinking about coming up with my own patents so that I could make money off of the stuff that I was thinking of. And so that's why a lot of this thing, what I do is I put some of the inventions, I copyright the material by putting it in my books and stuff like that. And some things I try and file patents for and things like that. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know this, but the word smoke, I'll give you an example. The word smoke, here we go. The word smoke is a slang term. Smoke means, the word smoke, it means to argue or fight in the street. And basically I have a copyright on this definition of this. I copyrighted that, me myself. Smoke means to argue or fight in the street. You know, they say these guys got a lot of beef between them. No, they say, no, there's a lot of smoke between those guys. I copyrighted that. That's one of my copyrights right there. That I copyrighted that as a slang term many eons ago when I first wrote the book Smoke. And but we have supersonic technology. There's just a matter of it, them finding other applications for it in the military. They have it at NASA. And so And that was an unfair argument that Matt Gaetz was arguing with Lloyd Austin like that. Anyway, I always thought that somebody should have said something about that. But if you don't know, you don't know. You're not an idiot because you don't know. But you didn't know that's what was going on. But it seemed like that's how you were looking down at Mr. Lloyd Austin. Because why? Well, wait a minute. Why don't we have this? What the hell's going on? Why don't we have technology like that? But the thing is, you should have felt those missiles out over Serbia. But see, now, if China goes after Taiwan, it opens up a third theater. There's a theater in Ukraine. There's an active theater in Ukraine. There's an active theater opening up near Israel. I heard Israel just sent ships to Yemen. There's a third theater could open up between China and Taiwan. And now our Navy's going to end up facing those supersonic missiles off the coast of China. And what they should have, they don't know nothing about it. They don't know nothing about it. And the thing is that they should have felt them out as a strategy, felt them out over Serbia, because they could have kept the Serbians from rearming themselves. And the beauty of the strategy would have been that Bulgaria, Romania, Northern Macedonia, they would have blocked out the Russians and blocked out China from rearming Serbia, because it was an active theater now. They've been known to do it before. Remember, one of the Russian ambassadors wanted to go back, Sergei Lavrov wanted to go back and forth, and they blocked him out. No airspace. No. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do I know? And there's another thing too that's disturbing right here, that there's a new Russian military base in Libya. Now, apparently, this is one of the old Wagner bases in Libya. This is one of the old Wagner bases in Libya, and let me see if there's anything on this. There's probably some news stories out there. So I think I'll tweet a couple of news stories on it. Also, excuse me, Russian military base in Libya.
According to Bloomberg.com, Russia is moving to expand its military presence in eastern Libya, a plan that could lead to a naval base, giving it a significant foothold on Europe's southern doorstep.
Well, they got some pictures of what might be it. I don't know if this is it. I don't see what's called, but there's new Russian military bases. I think it's a Russian naval base, brand new Russian naval base in Libya. And basically what it is the old Wagner Group people, but they don't have a leader, as you know. That's probably going to be kind of iffy, which is a plus on our part. That's probably going to be kind of, because I know they're probably still mad that Prigozhin's dead and Putin killed Prigozhin, but they still basically are still doing Putin's bidding for him. And but this is they got a couple of pictures on here, but it's hard to see what this is, because a lot of times the Russians lie about stuff and they exaggerate because they try to scare people and stuff like that. But anything that Wagner's doing for him, that he's taking over now, is subject for them to end up shooting Putin, because they're mad as hell. The Wagner Group people are actually mad and angry that the Russian president killed Prigozhin. Okay? So, Germany is also set to lead NATO. Germany is set to lead NATO. Hopefully, they come up with some. They're supposed to be the new leader of NATO. That's going to be interesting, because they're going to have a lot of expansion and business-minded things on their table, where they're trying to do business and stuff like that, and a bunch of their German companies and stuff. So, what else we got here? Vladimir Putin is going to be president of Russia till 2030. They said it's not going to be till 2030 that they even have another election, which is nuts. I'm hoping that I'm hoping one of the Ukrainian guys sneaks across the border and kills him or something, because this is getting ridiculous that all this stuff is going on. And let's see, which is strange. There was some issues that with our election that we had here a while ago. It appears to me that there was business people from Miami. It appears that there were business people from Miami coming to Jacksonville to try and influence some of these elections, and it's still ongoing right now. And it's probably because the place where they house the voting machines is a big, huge, multi-business warehouse. It's one of the old Sears and Roebuck warehouses from like the 70s. And this place is huge. And Bacardi's in there, and Peter Glenn is in there. And there's people that there's like phone centers, a couple of different call centers in there. There's a guy in there that sells swimwear. There's people in there that sell stuff for car parts distributor, and and so on and so forth. The place is huge. And also there's election machines. For Duval County, Clay County, Nassau County, Duval County, surrounding counties. That's where they house the voting machines for the voting precincts. And it appears that there's some business people coming from Miami to try and influence the election and stuff like this. And the thing is that it looks like they got it through one time and Trump was elected, and the second time they didn't work. So it looks like they got caught. And I'm not going to say who I think it is. You know who you are. There's other people talking about it too. But you need to stop. You need to stop. Go back to Miami. Stop coming up here with those little covert plans like that, because you should be in jail right now. Really. You should be in jail for what you came up here to do. You should be in jail. So you need to pack it up, go back to Miami, and stop coming up here from Miami with those little plots like that. Because if you got caught and Trump lost the second election, and the argument should be that they stole the election back from Trump. Not that they stole. That's what it looks like is going on. Not that they stole an election from Trump. They stole one back from him. And but there's several entities, business entities coming from Miami, that basically you need to stop doing this, because there's other people paying attention. It's not just me. And it's ridiculous that you keep doing this as if no one is watching. If no one is watching, why did Trump lose the last election? Okay? Somebody stole? No, they didn't steal nothing from him, man. You know it. You came up here from Miami trying to sneak in and grease some palms and things like that, and you should stop doing that. Pack it up, go back to Miami. Don't come up here with those covert plans, because sooner or later they're going to put you in jail. The people that saw it is going to put you in jail, and that'll be like AT&T or like the post office. Both of them were threatened by Trump. Both of them were threatened by Trump. Trump threatened to shut down the post office, and he threatened to shut down AT&T. He threatened, and both of them are watching this stuff like a hawk now. Yeah, they're both watching this election stuff like a hawk now, and so next time you come up from Miami might be your last. That they end up putting you in jail. Yeah, they end up putting you in jail. And you should really think about that before you come up here with these little plots and stuff like that. Let's see. Who else I got? This other guy. We really got to pay attention to this, because where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? What is on your game plan to rip America up? That's what's on your game plan. Where are we going with this? So there's nobody going to vote for DeSantis. He just told the blacks that they can't study black history. He told the Chinese they can't buy property. He told the LGBTQ community that they can't own liquor licenses. And now he's going to say that unless you pledge allegiance to Israel, you can't attend college in Florida. Okay? So basically he's alienated everyone. Then he just kicked a bunch of the Hispanic people, the Mexicans, out of Florida. Yeah, telling them that there was a big protest here where the truckers, the Teamster Union, the Spanish people from the Midwest and the Latino Teamster Union, the truckers, had a protest against Governor DeSantis. So he's alienated all these different groups. He's not going to win. The only thing that could happen is if somebody came up here from Miami to try and steal the election from him, steal the election for him, like they did when they put Trump in office. And so where are we going with this? Oh my God, the Democrats are rioting. Oh my God, the Democrats are rioting. They think somebody stole the election. It's enough of you flipping this stuff around, dude. There's enough of that. There's enough of that, you flipping this stuff. Oh my God, the Democrats are rioting. The Democrats are rioting. They think someone stole. This what's on his game plan, on his agenda for DeSantis. And I don't think very seriously that he should be allowed to do something like that. So if you see something, say something, because it really needs to stop with them trying to influence the election and stuff like that. A while ago when the Russian guy Prigozhin was dead, Wagner Group was bragging about influencing the elections here in the United States when Trump got elected. So you never know. That might be what they're talking about. That might be what they were talking about. They had somebody come up here from Miami and try to infiltrate the voting process or whatever, So, but that's what it looks like, I'm not calling no names. I'm not making no accusations. I'm just saying it needs to stop. If that's what you're doing, you're already caught. So stop it. Stop being ridiculous. Russia needs to mind their own damn business. They're broke, okay? But we got this other guy I want to talk about, and I'm gonna make sure this is the last thing right here. But this other guy here, George Santos, is in the news also. And I don't know if y'all ever heard about anything about this. Let me look this up. George Santos says his parents escaped the Holocaust. This guy right here, this is so ridiculous. But they just said that this person is like some type of scam artist, and they got a bunch of different people that are saying that he's a scam artist and stuff like that. But he just got caught lying, and his name might be fake, and his background is fake, and his history, his college credentials are fake, and all of this kind of stuff. And now he's saying that after he's been indicted with all of these indictments saying that he's committed all kind of fraud, where he was taking credit cards from his donors and maxing out their credit cards and stuff. After they find out all this fake, now he says that his parents escaped the Holocaust, which alludes to the fact that basically this is a bandwagon person. And they're using this stuff about Israel as a crutch. And this is a really good example of it. And I hope they crucify him for saying something like that. I hope they crucify him, that he should be crucified for telling that monstrous of a lie. Now that they finally find out that he was lying, the new lie that he's telling now is that his family was the ones that escaped the Holocaust and blah, 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 blah. And nobody believes him now. But they're basically using this stuff about Israel and the Holocaust as a crutch. There are those out there that are using this, and it looks like that's what Russia's doing too. Russia's trying to use this as a crutch so that they can do what they want to do in Ukraine without them fighting back and stuff like that. And but that's just some thoughts that I had today, and if y'all get a chance to check out my books, number next, The Black Hand by Duane Fletcher, The Battle of Fletcher by Duane Fletcher, blurb.com, Duane Fletcher on blurb.com, Duane Fletcher on blurb.com. So if you get a chance to check it out. Also check me out at Issues by FCM, at Issues by FCM on X, which used to be Twitter. Thank y'all. Have a nice evening.